Hey, what's up, my strange friends? Welcome to Screen Rant. I'm Greg Elliott, and as in the comics, the Sorcerer Supreme's arsenal of spells is one of the Avengers' greatest weapons against their enemies, especially against Thanos and the Black Order in Avengers Infinity War and Endgame. Benedict Cumberbatch's take on Doctor Strange is arguably one of the MCU's most comic-accurate portrayals of a Marvel Comics superhero. This applies to his backstories, personalities, costume, and of course, his abilities. Even if they're not all blatantly obvious, most of his magic spells in the MCU are rooted in the comics. In the comics, Doctor Strange usually says the name of the spell out loud when casting it, but he doesn't always do so in the movies, so the connections to the comics are sometimes a bit more ambiguous and open to interpretation. So here are all the spells that we've seen the Master of the Mystic Arts cast in the movies and how they connect to the comics. First up isn't really a spell, but more of a skill, the ability of Astral Projection, which first introduced Stephen Strange to the world of magic when the Ancient One knocked his astral form out of his body in the first Doctor Strange movie. In this form, he doesn't need to breathe, eat, drink, or sleep, and pretty much can't be harmed by most conventional means, which can be pretty convenient, especially if his physical body is safe somewhere like the Sanctum Sanctorum. And now, on to the real spells. The Images of Icon is a classic spell that was first seen used in Strange Tales number 130 in March 1965. It lets Doctor Strange duplicate himself, which can be particularly useful to create distractions or give him time to prepare a different spell, and we saw it in Infinity War during the battle on Titan when he used it to attack Thanos. The Crimson Bands of Cyttorak are a powerful binding spell that get their power from the demon/god Cyttorak, who's responsible for creating the X-Men villain Juggernaut, by the way, and Doctor Strange used them to restrain Thanos' arms in Infinity War. He actually used the spell against Caecilius in the first Doctor Strange movie, although they didn't really look like the red bands that we're used to. The Winds of Watum, are you noticing all the alliteration with these things, are an extremely powerful gust of wind, and they're a favorite of Doctor Strange's in the comics. The same seems to be true for his MCU counterpart, and he's used them twice, first to stop the destruction caused by Ebony Maw's ship in Infinity War, and then again to create a water tornado in Endgame. One of Doctor Strange's strongest offensive spells is a lightning attack called the Bolts of Balthak. Now we know it's used in Infinity War thanks to a Twitter confirmation by its movement designer Julian Daniels, but where exactly isn't 100% clear. But it's most likely the red energy blast that Doctor Strange conjures when fighting Thanos one-on-one. The Shield of the Seraphim is a protective energy barrier that Doctor Strange first used in Strange Tales number 147 in 1966. We first saw Wong use it in Infinity War when Ebony Maw throws a tree at them, and Doctor Strange later uses it to protect Spider-Man, Iron Man, and himself when they're about to crash land on Titan. You should recognize the Ruby Rings of Ragador, which is a spell used to bind not necessarily the strength, but the powers of the person it's used against. In Infinity War, this is probably how Doctor Strange prevented Thanos from unleashing the full power of the Infinity Stones, because if he had, it's unlikely that they would have gotten so close to getting the gauntlet off his hand. And lastly, at the end of Endgame, Doctor Strange casts a spell that creates blue tendrils of energy that yank a bunch of Thanos' minions to the ground all at once. This is a bit of a stretch, but these could be the MCU's version of the icy tendrils of Ixalan, which unleash extremely cold temperatures on enemies and can also trap them in blocks of ice. So there you go, all the spells that Doctor Strange has used so far in the MCU. I expect that we'll get to see some of these and a lot of new ones in Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness, and you know we'll keep you posted on that as more info comes to light. Until then, I'm Greg Elliott, thanks for watching Screen Rant, and I'm out. Peace.